Great Northwoods to the Rock Mountain Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, the legal battle over Juniper Ridge landfill continues as the Penobscot Nation and environmental advocates are working to block its expansion. Plus, the Lincoln Town Council passed a revised budget, decreasing the amount of cuts. We'll have those details ahead. And the folks in Old Town celebrated first responders yesterday. We'll join them coming up. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Janessa Bishop. Craig Colson will be joining us back here momentarily. And thank you for joining us as always. For the weather today, it looks like it'll be a nice and sunny day, and that will continue throughout the weekend as well. And first, we're going to turn things over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Happy Friday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Clifton General Store. Start your morning right at Clifton General Store. Fresh coffee and hot breakfast. Family owned and operated. Alrighty, here we go this morning. It's a nice start and it's going to be a very nice day filled with a lot of sunshine. No advisories in effect. So if you're looking for reasons to get outside, this will be one of those nice days to take advantage of that with a front that's tracking off towards the east. Not a whole lot going on with that, and overall not a whole lot of anything right behind it. This will not be causing any troubles for us either. Futurecast moving forward, lots of sunshine today, a few clouds developing from time to time. We will be under a mostly clear sky overnight tonight. So overall for today, middle 80s on the way, not too shabby under a mostly sunny sky, and that west breeze only at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Look at this, overnight mostly clear with only middle 50s overnight, and the wind overall looking nice and calm. And then it's Saturday, mid 80s again under a mostly sunny sky with that south breeze at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Hourly forecast pushing forward, plenty of sunshine with temperatures warming up into the 80s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up.
All right, thank you, Devin. We'll see you a little later on. Well, first this morning, the Penobscot County Sheriff's Office says that 4 people were arrested and nearly a kilo of drugs was seized after officers executed a drug-related search warrant in Kunduskeg. The Penobscot County Sheriff's Office says that they, along with multiple other agencies, conducted the search warrant on Townhouse Road in Kunduskeg. The rig follows a multi-month investigation into drug trafficking from that location. The Sheriff's Office says it seized nearly 1 kilo of methamphetamine, fentanyl, crack cocaine, and other assorted drugs. They say a stolen vehicle was also recovered from the scene.
We do want folks to know that there is a large police presence in the area, but there are enough resources here to make sure that the public is safe and was at all times.
32-year-old James Cook, 30-year-old Eva Peterson, and 50-year-old Troy Bryant, all of Kunduskeg, were arrested, as well as 37-year-old Stuart Fairweather of Newport. Cook, Peterson, and Fairweather are charged with aggravated drug trafficking. Bryant is charged with unlawful possession. James Cook also had an active warrant for eluding an officer. They are being held at the Penobscot County Jail.
The Penobscot Nation, and Conservation Law Foundation were back in court to fight over the Juniper Ridge landfill expansion. The Department of Environmental Protection issued a second positive public benefit determination in March after a judge struck down the first determination earlier this year. Our Grace Blanchard has more.
The legal battle over the Juniper Ridge landfill continues as the Penobscot Nation and environmental advocates are once again working to block its expansion.
The time for environmental justice is now.
The Maine Department of Environmental Protection cleared the expansion project a second time in March after a judge rejected its initial approval earlier this year. The state-owned landfill, operated by a subsidiary of Casella Waste Systems, has drawn sustained concern over PFAS contamination, air pollution, and burdens on communities along the Penobscot River.
It is the largest landfill in the state, and it threatens the health of the Penobscot River. Leachate from the landfill is being minimally treated and then discharged, and so we know that there's PFAS pollution.
More than half of Maine's landfill waste ends up at Juniper Ridge, which is expected to reach capacity in 2028. The proposed project would expand the landfill footprint by 61 acres and add 11 years to its operations. The DEP argues the landfill is well maintained and the expansion will ease local strain by requiring measures such as a limit on the sludge the landfill takes and PFAS treatment if the license is approved.
It really stretches the imagination and exceeds reason to imagine that this expansion of a landfill that pollutes in so many ways and through so many pathways could ever not perpetuate this undue burden that the Penobscot Nation has been bearing for decades and decades.
CLF and the Penobscot Nation argue DEP ignored the court's order to confront the toll of waste pollution on the nation and how this landfill expansion would deepen it.
The expansion would be really close to some really significant tribal lands where members do recreation. So a whole lot of concern for all of our people, especially our elderly and children and those who may be more vulnerable.
The DEP and Casella Waste Systems declined comment. The judge is anticipated to reach a decision within the next few months. In Bangor, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, now to a sad ending in the search for a missing Rockland man. Authorities say the body of 49-year-old Scott Clark has been found in Waldo County. He had been reported missing on Monday, and police were attempting to check on his well-being. According to the Midcoast Villager, there's no information about where he was found or how he died, but no foul play is suspected.
A Portland woman says she was the victim of a disturbing attack this week while out for a walk near the Back Cove. The unidentified woman says she felt that a young man was following her Wednesday as she listened to a lecture while walking. She says she felt the man then come up from behind her and then felt something wet on her leg and backside. The victim says she was assaulted with that man's bodily fluids, and that's when she called police. She says the man was charged with assault but was not taken into custody. Police say the case remains under investigation.
In other news this morning, water remediation efforts are underway at Northern Light Blue Hill Hospital. A statement says recent tests of the hospital's well water show levels of PFAS over the Maine state drinking water guidelines. The test found PFAS levels at 20.1 parts per trillion, and the current state guidance mandates remediation for anything over 20. Vice President of Facilities Tim Doak says, quote, "We're taking immediate steps to implement a short-term fix and a long-term solution that ensures our staff and patients have access to clean water, regardless of how small the potential risk." Northern Light Blue Hill Hospital is making bottled water available for patients and staff, and they're also bringing in a tanker truck which will pipe water directly into the hospital and adjacent buildings. They say the hospital is working with a Maine-based company that specializes in water remediation.
Well, drivers now face an unwelcome surprise when they pull up to the pump. Gasoline prices have jumped 15 cents from last week to $4.09 a gallon. AAA Public Affairs Specialist Suzanne Gray says volatility in the Strait of Hormuz and instability in the region are behind the spike in prices, and she offers some tips.
Combine trips, combine errands, carpool more often, and they'll make sacrifices in other parts of their budget. But unfortunately, with fuel, especially in rural states like Maine, we need to drive to get to where we need to go.
Gray says driving your car at 50 miles per hour, not idling, and having the right tire pressure will also give you the best fuel economy.
Well, following a month of public criticism, Lincoln Town councilors passed a new budget on Wednesday night with a decrease in cuts compared to their previous one. Our Doug Banks with that story.
With a vote of 5-2, the Lincoln Town Council passed a revised budget, decreasing the amount of cuts from the previous budget from 15% to 5%.
We ended up with probably a rough way to get there, but a better solution than what we had when we started this whole process.
Last month, the council passed a controversial budget proposed by Councilor David Ireland that would have slashed funding to departments like public safety, sparking pushback from residents and a major divide amongst council members. The new revised budget passed on Wednesday night addresses these concerns.
It is a cut to the expenses to a certain extent, but without cutting so far as to cut personnel and services.
Lincoln's fire chief tells me the new budget isn't ideal, but it's better than what it was a month ago.
We've got the emergency staff we need to run their 911 calls and do our transfers, and that's our goal.
But he says it'll affect their building maintenance and the purchasing of equipment in the near future.
Our budget this year is going to be going into maintenance of vehicles because they're old, point blank.
The new budget was brought forth by town manager Wade Schaefer, who recently put in his resignation, something the town is no stranger to, since they've seen 4 town managers in the past 7 months either resign, decline, or be fired from the position. But Street told us on Thursday that Schaefer will remain at his post until the town finds its new manager, despite previous indications that he would step aside following Wednesday night's town meeting.
The fact that he is willing to do that for us really says a lot about his dedication to our town.
In Lincoln, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, here's some good news. Life Flight of Maine has added another state-of-the-art medevac helicopter to its fleet, meaning another life-saving aircraft is now available to help Mainers in life-threatening situations. Life Flight of Maine says the new helicopter is named Yankee Mike, a nod to the last 2 letters in its tail number. They acquired the helicopter last year, then spent months retrofitting it. Yankee Mike had only 300 hours of flight time when Life Flight acquired it. The Life Flight of Maine helicopters generally average about 535 hours of airtime each year. It is the 4th A109 SP helicopter to join the fleet, and these aircraft are newer, faster, and larger than their predecessors.
Well, folks in Old Town came together to celebrate local first responders with a family-friendly event. Bennett Park was full of folks enjoying live music, barbecue, and a look at the day-to-day lives of local first responders. It's a part of a summer event series hosted by the Downtown Old Town Volunteer Collective to help bring community together for some free-of-charge fun. Organizers say there's a little something for everyone.
I'd say, we have had some great weather for the last few barbecues. We had a great turnout. We've got stuff for pretty much every age group. It's ADA friendly. We have a lot of people with walkers and scooters, pets and children.
Those first responders say it was great to receive interest from the community.
People really like the trucks. They like to be able to look at things. The kids love it, and I love to show off our fire trucks.
The event may be over now, but there's still multiple events to look forward to in Old Town.
Looks like a good time.
Definitely. Well, the time now is 8:12. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, some nurses are protesting Maine Health and its ties to an AI software company. We'll have more on that ahead.
But first, another look at that forecast. A mostly sunny day ahead today with high temperatures around 84 degrees. Mostly clear tonight with lows dropping down to the mid-50s. Tomorrow, another sunny day with high temperatures around 85. We'll
Some days start with busted belts and bruised knuckles. But out here, fixing things is just part of the ride. No matter what I'm doing, I have just the right tool close by. Then it's time to unwind and catch your breath, or maybe dinner. From fixing it right to living it fully, Coastal Auto Parts and Milwaukee Packout Systems help me get to the moments that matter most with the people that matter more.
Are you experiencing foot pain? Comfort Shoes and More has a team of experts trained in pet orthotics to help you find relief. They offer tailored fittings, shoe modifications, customized orthotics, and much more for the ordinary or for the hard-to-fit foot, with fashionable and functional footwear from today's top brands: Hoka, Brooks, Keen, Teva, Taos, Ufus, and Birkenstocks. From running to walking, casual or dress, they have it all. Take the drive to Newport for a sit and fit to find your perfect fit. You and your feet will be glad you did.
It's the summer savings event at #1 Darlings Kia. Get hot savings like a new Kia K4 for under $200 a month, or lease a new loaded 7-passenger Carnival for just $399 a month. Plus, every new Kia comes with our 10-year or 100,000-mile warranty. The best in the business. Get hot savings all month long during the summer savings event at #1 Darlings Kia. The best cars, the best prices, and the best warranty. You'll do better at Darlings.
Think you're good at trivia? Arrange these holidays, these historic first, these animals. By the way,
I have no idea.
Congratulations! You have built the perfect line! I'm Deborah Norville, and this is The Perfect Line.
Onion rings before, in between onion rings and pizza.
Definitely after. Oh, this is what happy looks like.
Weekdays at 10 on Fox 22.
Welcome back, everyone. Faith leaders in Maine are calling to end violence involving ICE agents, not just here in Maine, but across the U.S. They spoke Thursday in South Portland. Clergy from Minnesota, Texas, and Florida all calling for accountability for ICE and to end officer-involved shootings. The organizers also put on simultaneous events in the other states where victims have been killed. They call these deaths a pattern of violence that terrorizes communities.
When our immigrant neighbors are attacked, we are attacked. When our immigrant neighbors are attacked and living in fear, we are living in fear. When the hearts of our immigrant neighbors right here in Biddeford are breaking.
The faith leaders say that they will continue to push Senator Susan Collins to stand up to President Trump to stop the violence of ICE agents in Maine.
Well, meanwhile, some nurses are protesting Maine Health and its ties to Planeteer, an AI software company. Planeteer technology helps ICE locate people suspected of being in the country illegally. Their software is also in hospitals around the nation. As Brad Rogers shows us, nurses are demanding Maine Health cut all ties with that company.
Palantir out! This notorious surveillance company founded by right-wing extremists has no place in our hospital. Kids first!
Maine Health nurses accuse Palantir of aiding in the Gaza genocide, targeting civilians in Iran, and helping ICE, quote, terrorize people like Johann Sebastian Guerrero, who was shot and killed by ICE in Biddeford as he left home for work.
Nurses feared it was only a matter of time before someone in our community would be killed. Maine Health is knowingly bankrolling an entity that is actively harming our community.
Nurses say some of Maine Health's own employees feel threatened by ICE.
How can we ask those employees to trust us when we maintain a partnership with a company whose name has become synonymous with ICE?
Maine Health declined our interview request, but told us Maine Health works with Palantir to challenge insurance denials. Hospital officials say this tool has helped overturn inappropriate coverage denials for thousands of Maine Health patients for medically necessary care. They also say Maine Health maintains strict safeguards to protect patient information, and it is not shared outside of Maine Health's oversight. But nurses say they have no way of knowing if that's true without seeing the contract with Palantir.
The entire contract is shrouded in secrecy, despite our numerous requests for information surrounding their relationship.
We reached out to Palantir for comment, but did not hear back. The company, which provides services for government and commercial purposes, did give a statement to NPR saying when Palantir employees are granted access to data, it is solely to help integrate and analyze that data, not to store it or use it for our own purposes.
I don't believe it for a second. I believe perhaps Maine Health believes it, but I don't think they know what the devil that they're dancing with.
Nurses say healthcare depends on trust and confidentiality. They say Maine Health's contract with Palantir breaks that trust, giving patients a reason to avoid the hospital.
Well, the time now is 8:18. After the break, we'll hear about a terrifying tourist seaplane crash in Seattle. Those details coming up.
Plus, a rental e-bike company is hoping to expand services in Bucksport. We'll hear about their plan as Good Morning Maine rolls along.
Fires, floods, burst pipes. Disasters happen, but the mess they leave behind doesn't have to last. For 40 years, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration has been there to help Mainers get back to the closest to normal as they can. When your property is at its worst, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration is at their best, and they have been for 4 decades. Put your trust in the Bouchard team. Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration. You keep the memories, we'll handle the rest.
Here at Twin City Tire and Service, you will be working with industry professionals. We have ASE certified master technicians and certified tire and lube technicians. If we need your vehicle for a duration of time, we offer a complimentary shuttle service and can even offer a loaner vehicle. Being a client at Twin City Tire and Service means that we will treat you right. This includes a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on mechanical repairs. We also provide you with 1 year of complimentary roadside assistance. Come see us today at Twin City Tire and Service in Brewer.
Webb's RV Center has a 4-acre lot with over 75 previously owned campers all on sale, plus another 4 acres of new RVs and motorhomes. Webb's RV will take anything in trade. You can buy a camper anywhere, but be sure to buy your next camper at your local neighbor. A website can't service your RV, but Webb's RV will, and they have the biggest service department in the state of Maine to help you enjoy your RV or motorhome.
So come on down, neighbor. The coffee pot's on and the pencil is sharp.
Hi, I'm Tony with TC Hafford Basement Systems. All things basementy. Is your foundation shifting, settling, or cracking? Don't wait till it's too late. We offer the most reliable solutions to lift and stabilize your sinking foundation. With our advanced piering techniques, we'll ensure your home is back on solid ground. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems today for all things basementy.
A local e-bike business in Bucksport is creating a new way for tourists to explore the town.
Calvin White explains.
CJ Sprockets is an e-bike rental company hoping to introduce the tourists and residents of Down East Maine to a new way to sightsee. The business is looking to provide an alternative mode of transportation for passengers of cruise ships stopping in Bucksport. During the summer, Bucksport has seen an increasing number of American Cruise Line ships dock in town. As passengers disembark, they're met with a tent full of bikes. There, CJ Sprockets rents out Free Sky e-bikes to tourists by the hour or by the day.
It's a nice central location for us and a convenient location for picking up an e-bike to be able to go down to wherever you want to travel to.
CJ Sprockets is focused on providing an easier way for tourists who just got off a cruise ship to get to various attractions around the Bucksport area.
And it's a great riding experience, actually. When you get out of downtown and you're out into the rural areas of Bucksport, it's just a fantastic town. If you're interested in wildlife at all, birds of prey, it's an absolutely fantastic place to be.
Jones recommends going across the Penobscot Narrows Bridge and visiting Fort Knox. However, he says that is often too far for tourists to walk, and the only other option is a bus or Uber. But taking an e-bike is cheaper and gets you closer to the natural beauty of the town.
Well, Bucksport is a great example of that, actually, because it's a very hilly town. And so having an e-bike when you are coming off the ship, having the option for an e-bike available to you to explore the town a little bit more in depth, I think is a great solution.
Yeah. Kaylin Jones, daughter of Chris and Cindy Jones, says that traveling by e-bike is easier when parking is scarce and more personal when you want to leave the busy downtown area.
To be able to get around town quickly, especially if, let's say, you did a 4-hour rental. 4 hours in Bucksport is a long time, but if you spend half of that time walking around or trying to find a parking spot, it's so nice to be able to hop off your bike, go get lunch, hop back on, go up, find a trail, sit by the water. It makes things much more open and free, I think.
Along with the rental system, CJ Sprockets also offers a retail front in Bucksport, where customers can test ride and purchase their very own e-bike for traveling around the town. In Bucksport, Calvin White, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Probably a lot of fun, too, to rent one of those.
It looks really fun.
Yeah.
Well, the time now is 8:23. Let's get a full look at our forecast with meteorologist Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, here we go. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Clifton General Store. Start your morning right at Clifton General Store. Fresh coffee and hot breakfast. Family owned and operated. Alrighty, here we go. Checking out the wayfind. It's a little bit active out there at around 3 feet. Not enough to prompt any advisories along the coast, while farther out towards sea, where the cold front is, we have 5 to 6 foot wave heights that are being observed this morning. So overall, we are looking pretty good. Let's check out the water temperatures right now. We are in the upper 50s to lower 60s right nearby, a little bit cooler further off towards the north and east, and we have upper 40s here to upper 50s right there and upper 60s further out towards sea. Meanwhile, we have high pressure right overhead for us, and that's keeping things very quiet. And further off towards the north, a little bit of energy. That will not be any problems for us. It's going to be a very nice day today thanks to high pressure under a mostly sunny sky, and the wind will not be a problem either. It will be a beautiful day to get outside and enjoy the weather. Futurecast moving forward today, we will be under a mostly sunny sky. You may notice a few passing clouds at times, especially by late afternoon into the evening time frame, and then mostly clear overnight. And then once we head towards your Saturday, a beautiful start. And then once we head towards Saturday night, again, you may notice a few few passing clouds, but then everything fizzling out as the sun goes down. Once we head towards your Sunday, some more clouds on the way, but overall not looking too bad at all. Lots of sunshine today, so that UV index forecast will be at a 7. That's high, a bird time of around 30 minutes or so hats, sunglasses, sunscreen, and shade will be necessary to avoid a bad sunburn. So your forecast coming up showing middle 80s under that mostly sunny sky, a beautiful one out there with that west breeze at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Middle 50s tonight under a mostly clear sky with the wind overall looking nice and calm. And then Saturday we have middle 80s under a mostly sunny sky with that south breeze getting up to about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Your extended forecast showing Sunday under a partly cloudy sky with temperatures in the mid 80s. And then for your Monday, a partly cloudy sky, middle 80s as well. A lot of dry days on here. And then for your Tuesday under a mostly cloudy sky with highs in the upper 70s.
This Nissan lineup goes where you take it. Vehicles built with power and control. Nissan, Consumer Guide's most awarded brand 5 years in a row. Well-qualified buyers get 0% APR on select model trims.
Make your outdoor living space dreams come true with a little help from Granville Stone & Hearth. Granville can help you go from this to this. Outdoor fireplaces, custom outdoor kitchens, gorgeous stone patios, and more. You bring the dreams, we'll supply the materials to make it all real. Create your stunning outdoor oasis with help from the experts at Granville Stone & Hearth, Main Road, Holden.
When I was 29, I was diagnosed with cancer. And I think part of research and advocating for more money for cancer research allows survivors to have more time. Senator Collins supports and advocates for more funding for cancer research so that people can have better treatments, they can have better outcomes, and therefore they can live better lives as cancer survivors. Thank you, Senator Collins. Continue fighting for our families.
Roto-Rooter has served the greater Bangor area and beyond for 35 years, offering plumbing, hydrojetting, snaking, descaling, video inspection, and grease interceptor cleaning services. For all your residential and commercial clogs, call Roto-Rooter today, 990-1234.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
This Nissan lineup goes where you take it. Vehicles built with power and control. Nissan, Consumer Guide's most awarded brand 5 years in a row. Well-qualified buyers get 0% APR on select model trims.
It has been nearly 2 straight weeks of the U.S. bombing Iran, and now President Trump says he may go even bigger with the attacks as he signs a controversial nuclear deal with Saudi Arabia. This causing oil and gasoline prices to continue to skyrocket. ABC's Karen Waugh has the latest.
This morning, U.S. forces bombing Iran for the 13th straight night. Iran says it responded by attacking U.S. bases in Bahrain and Jordan. Now Trump tells Axios, I am considering a massive attack, bigger than ever before, but he has not made a final call. Senior officials tell ABC News the strike could be bigger than anything from Operation Epic Fury. But even with threats of more military action, the New York Times reporting overnight, Iran rejected a new U.S. ceasefire offer, which was reportedly brought to the table by Iraq's prime minister after a White House visit. This comes as Houthi rebels in Yemen, backed by Iran, attacked 2 Saudi oil tankers in the Red Sea. And President Trump signed a controversial deal to help Saudi Arabia develop a nuclear energy program. But this would require the Saudis to normalize diplomatic relations with Israel, which they refuse to do unless Israel clears a path to a Palestinian state. The nuclear deal causing bipartisan alarm.
The world right now should tremble because a new nuclear weapons era has begun in the Middle East.
I want to make sure it's done under the appropriate oversight and safeguards.
The economic fallout for American consumers has been swift. Crude oil closed at $100 a barrel for the first time since May. The Dow down more than 500 points. And gas up 15 cents in a week to $4.09 a gallon. Experts say it could hit $4.40 in the coming weeks. A new Fox News poll shows 2/3 of American voters, 67%, disapprove of how President Trump is handling the economy. That is a career low. Karen Hua, ABC News, Washington.
Well, now to what New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani called hateful and despicable attacks. 2 men stabbed minutes apart, both attacks near Central Park. 1 man is in custody and police are still trying to figure out why it happened. The attacks now being investigated as possible hate crimes. One of the victims is a Jewish man who was found laying outside of a church and synagogue after getting stabbed on the Upper West Side. And not long before that attack, another man of Asian descent was stabbed in the back near Central Park. The suspect, a 51-year-old man, is in custody awaiting charges. He has 2 prior drug arrests from 1991 and others that are sealed. Both of the victims are expected to survive.
Well, breaking news overnight, a tourist seaplane crashing off the coast of Washington state with 11 people on board. The terrifying moment was all caught on video. The plane can be seen skimming low over the water before banking hard and then crashing into the rocky shoreline. Passengers scrambling out of the cabin as Good Samaritans rush in to help. Moments later, flames erupting from the engine, and it ended up swallowing the plane. Authorities say all 11 people survived. The pilot and 10 passengers, several were hurt. 1 person is in critical condition. Investigators now working to determine why the pilot attempted that emergency landing. The NTSB and the FAA are investigating, and the company says it's also cooperating.
Wow, how scary.
Yeah, terrifying.
Well, coming up on the second half of the newscast, we'll hear from the Together Place after they announce the closure of their facility at the end of this month.
We'll hear about the help that they need as Good Morning Maine continues.
There's a lot to love about a Subaru. Find yours at Quirk in Bangor. Built on safety and reliability, lease Crosstrek Premium for $329 per month. Or lease Forester Wilderness for $397 a month. It's a Subaru summer. Find it at Quirk.
Live from the Maine Lobster Festival in Rockland, it's the Lobster Crate Races. Watch fearless racers dash across floating lobster crates. Will they make it or take a spectacular splash? Who will stay on their feet? And who will take the plunge? Don't miss the Lobster Crate Races live from the Maine Lobster Festival, Sunday, August 2nd at 2 p.m. only on Fox 22.
It's a hot leasing summer at Quirk Hyundai. Lease a 2026 Hyundai Tucson SE just $259 a month, or Elantra Hybrid for only $229 a month. Premium vibes, bold lines, and America's best warranty. Your Hyundai is waiting. Find it at Quirk.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
Welcome back to Good Morning Maine. Today is Friday, July 24th, 2026. This is also National Drive-Thru Day.
This day celebrates picking up a meal without having to leave your car. America's first drive-thru restaurant was opened at Red's Giant Hamburg in Springfield, Missouri in 1947. Other restaurants then followed suit to take advantage of the traveling public. In fact, drive-thrus became so popular that car manufacturers later started adding cup holders to vehicles.
And boy, we spend so much time in our cars.
We really do.
It makes sense. And,
it does.
And other businesses are following suit. Other things like pharmacies. And,
right.
You know, you don't have to get out of your car.
You don't.
For your errands.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of like that.
Yes.
All right, time for some history. It was on this date back in 1567. Mary, Queen of Scots, was forced to abdicate her throne to her 1-year-old son, James. King James, he was like 13 months old at the time.
Wow.
She was involved in a public scandal over her new marriage, and many believe that she was also involved in her previous husband's murder, so they made her step down. In 1779, a naval expeditionary force set out to confront British forces who had established a small fort and trading post at Castine. They were planning to capture the 750-man British garrison and other British-held areas, but they became bogged down during weeks of fighting, giving the British time to send in reinforcements. The Patriots were forced to retreat up the Penobscot River, and burned their own ships along the way to keep them out of enemy hands.
Wow.
Some of the remains of those ships are still at the bottom of the Penobscot to this very day, all down to the Hamden Winterport area.
Yeah.
And you might notice in some of our local parks, you'll see cannons and things like that. Those have been pulled from the river over the years, and little relics from that important time.
Rich history here.
And one more for you. In 1847, Mormon leader Brigham Young and his followers arrived in Salt Lake Valley in what is now present-day Utah.
In 1915, tragedy struck in Chicago when the SS Eastland passenger ship rolled onto its side while docked in the Chicago River. The ship had become top-heavy after modifications that included the addition of lifeboats. More than 2,500 people were aboard the ship, and an estimated 844 died in that disaster. In 1958, Boston Red Sox great Ted Williams was fined $250 for spitting on fans.
They were Yankees, though, so
yeah, Yankee fans.
It's okay.
In 1969, the Apollo 11 astronauts splashed down safely in the Pacific Ocean. It was carrying the first humans to set foot on the moon. And lastly, in 1974, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that President Richard Nixon had to turn over his secret White House recordings to the Watergate special prosecutor.
All right, for birthdays today, they're all performers. They include singer and actress Jennifer Lopez, who is 57 today, actor Michael Richards, Kramer from Seinfeld, he is 77, and actress Rose Byrne is 47 years old today. Happy birthday to you also, if your birthday is today.
We'll turn things right back over to meteorologist Evan Biggs.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Happy Friday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Clifton General Store. Start your morning right at Clifton General Store. Fresh coffee and hot breakfast. Family owned and operated. Alrighty, here we go this morning. It's a nice start, and it's going to be a very nice day filled with a lot of sunshine. No advisories in effect. So if you're looking for reasons to get outside, this will be one of those nice days to take advantage of that with a front that's tracking off towards the east. Not a whole lot going on with that, and overall not a whole lot of anything right behind it. This though will not be causing any troubles for us either. Futurecast moving forward, lots of sunshine today, a few clouds developing from time to time. We will be under a mostly cleared sky overnight tonight. So overall for today, middle 80s on the way, not too shabby under a mostly sunny sky, and that west breeze only at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Look at this, overnight mostly clear with only middle 50s overnight, and the wind overall looking nice and calm. And then it's Saturday, mid 80s again under a mostly sunny sky with that south breeze at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Hourly forecast pushing forward, plenty of sunshine with temperatures warming up into the 80s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up.
Well, it's a good day for a swim. Unfortunately, some bad news in Brewer.
Yeah.
Brewers City Swimming Pool will likely stay closed for the rest of the season. That's the word from city officials who have been trying to figure out why the pool has been losing water.
The pool was closed last week when the staff realized that it was leaking. The staff says that it's unlikely to reopen this summer while they investigate the source of the leak and then consider potential repairs.
Kids in Brewer, parents in Brewer have to find another place to cool off, I guess.
Exactly. I drove by it the other day and was wondering why there was no one in it, so
there you go.
That's the answer.
Yeah.
Well, still to come here this morning, Max Sturm with sports.
Don't go away.
Come home to the kitchen of your dreams. At Atlantic Designs, we redefine kitchen spaces, turning your dreams into reality. Our experienced designers ensure you get a stunning new kitchen while bringing function and style to every corner. Whether you're on a tight budget or ready to splurge, we've got the perfect plan for you. Your dream kitchen is closer than you think. So contact Atlantic Designs today and start the process. Your dream kitchen awaits with the kitchen people at Atlantic Designs.
Carpets looking tired, stained, or just plain dirty? It's time to call the pros. At C&R Carpet Cleaning, we use deep steam technology to remove dirt, odors, pet hair, and allergens fast. Fresh, clean carpets, healthier home. That's the C&R promise. Visit our Facebook page for a free estimate or call us today, 631-7380. Step into clean with C&R Carpet Cleaning.
Susan Collins broke her promise to protect Roe v. Wade. When Donald Trump called,
She cast the deciding vote for his Supreme Court justices who overturned Roe v. Wade. And she voted to put more than 100 Trump judges on the bench. States are banning abortion without exceptions, and women are dying. But Susan Collins says,
I do not regret that vote.
Tell Susan Collins to stop breaking her word. Stop voting for Trump's anti-choice judges.
Family owned and operating in the Bangor area for more than 10 years. Crosby's Welding is here to help you. We specialize in steel, stainless steel, and aluminum welding and fabrication. We serve many of the local industries from Maine lobstermen to the commercial trucking industry and everything in between. Fully mobile on-site construction services right down to custom signs and fire pits. Fast, friendly, reliable service. Give us a call today for a free estimate, 974-7815.
It's time for the world's most extreme sport. The NHRA on Fox.
Welcome back in, folks. The Maine men's basketball team is back to work for summer practices, and two key contributors to the 2024 America East title game run are gearing up to get back on the court for the first time since their injuries. Before the start of the 25-26 season, Maine lost both forward Killian Gribben and guard Darius Lopez to season-ending lower body injuries. But now, both are on pace to be ready for the 26 campaign. In 24, Gribben averaged 5 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists per game. And he says after a disappointing end to last season, he's excited to show what he can bring to the team.
Sitting out for like last year, being like, oh, I wish I could have do more. But I feel like I've learned a lot, like being like more of a vocal leader, and I can definitely incorporate it this year. And I've got a great support staff, like help me get back on the court, make sure like everything's okay, checking on me every day. So I'm just itching to get back out there.
Both Gribben and Lopez were huge losses for the team last year, and head coach Chris Markwood is thrilled to see them make a return to the court soon.
It's huge. I mean, to get him, Killian, and Darius back, I don't think people fully understand how big of losses those were for us last year. Neither one of them played last year at all. They're two starter-level guys. They want to be good, and to have that taken away from them last year is really hard to watch. They're working really hard to get back. I know they're really excited about this group and getting back after it this year.
All right, folks, the Flagg family took to the stage of Family Feud on Thursday, and if you missed it, don't worry, we've pieced together a quick recap for you. Let's take a look.
Time for Celebrity Family Feud. Tonight's gonna be a barn burner. We got Barstool Sports founder Dave Portnoy and the Barstool crew playing for Lifeline Animal Project. They're going up against NBA Rookie of the Year Cooper Flagg and family playing for the Ronald McDonald House of Dallas.
Cooper, name something a player probably got that a regular guy might not.
Lots of women.
Got lots of women. Back to Celebrity Family Feud, everybody. The Flagg family won the game. And now it's time to play. A gentleman never asked a woman what. You said, her weight. Survey said, that's a good one.
Boom!
Big ass. That's good, man. He got 151 points.
Okay.
151. You need 49 points to win. Name a wild animal you'd find living in cities.
Mouse.
Survey said.
Good job, guys. Moment for Cooper and his whole family and the state of Maine as a whole. Speaking of Cooper, though, there was a familiar face in Bangor on Thursday. Cooper Flagg got a round in at Bangor Muni as birdies shared a photo on their Facebook. Certainly not a bad time of year for Coop to come back home and unwind during the offseason. All right, folks, if you don't know, you should know that the Senior Legion baseball playoffs have been taking place. We were lucky enough to have a great game at Mansfield tonight, so let's bring you those highlights. It's the Down East Captains and the Bangor Comrades in the quarterfinal game. Right away in the first, it's Trevor Shima-Buckarow with a nice hit to get onto first base. 1 on for the Captains right off the bat. He would steal second and then make it all the way home when Max Worcester smacks this one, and it's 1-0 for Down East. But Bangor responds quickly. A bouncing hit from Gavin Glanville-True sneaks past first base, and he gets all the way to second. And then Ethan Sproul knocks one deep. It's way up there, and eventually it's going to be caught for the out. Now for the foot race for Glanville-True as he gets home to tie the game in the first, and then in the third, new pitcher for Down East. It goes wide, and Glanville-True takes the opportunity to make his way home, just beats the throw. Bangor goes on to win 9-2. Well, it's been quite the few weeks for the Boston Red Sox and their fans as the team made history, going from being considered one of the worst teams in the league following a series loss to the Rockies at the end of June to being right back in the conversation at the end of July, all thanks to a franchise record 15-game win streak. With a win on Wednesday afternoon, the Sox secured win number 15, tying the record for the longest win streak in franchise history that dates back to 1946. The Sox did fail, however, to get win number 16 to stand alone with that honor as they fell to the Orioles in Game 2 of the doubleheader by a score of 5-1 after the Orioles jumped on them early with a 4-0 lead in the first. It was a disappointing result for Sox fans hoping to see that record be broken, but interim manager Chad Tracy spoke to the positives after the game on Wednesday.
We just won 15 games in a row, and I think all of us knew that that's going to end at some point. It just happened to end tonight, so they're already refocused. I wanted to go in and talk to the team, and Sonny and Wilson were already handling it. I'll leave that message for in there. The focus is there now on, that's behind us, and the big thing is if we continue to play baseball that way, regardless of how many wins in a row, we're going to win a heck of a lot more than we lose. So that's the focus now.
All right, folks, that's all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back.
I got hurt by a big truck. Why did I call the twos? Because life-changing injuries deserve life-changing money, and I'll fight to get it for you. We got a client who broke multiple bones in a commercial vehicle accident, $700,000. Another client had a brain injury, and we got them $1.15 million. If you get hurt by a big truck, call the twos. We win for you.
Hurt by a big truck? Call the twos. We win for you. Critical investments are strengthening Maine, thanks to Senator Susan Collins. The biggest investment in our rural hospitals in decades. New investments for working waterfronts, like the Breakwater in Eastport. Investments to help homeless veterans find housing. Investments for UMaine to train new doctors and nurses. Thousands of investments, thanks to the power of Senator Susan Collins. Call Senator Collins and ask her to keep delivering for Maine.
What is Spectrum Internet? It's the most reliable internet.
It's connecting with my followers out there and in here.
It's secure internet for you and your family.
It's keeping kids like us safe online.
It's Wi-Fi that stays on even when the power doesn't.
Staying connected no matter what.
So what's Spectrum Internet? It's everything you want it to be. Switch today at spectrum.com.
Bob's Discount is about to go even further. The Massachusetts sales tax holiday is officially the weekend of August 8th and 9th, and it's already gimmicks galore out there. My competitors are saying they'll give you the tax savings now. I say, what savings? The tax has to be paid. It's the law, so it's just another one of their so-called sales. With Bob's Discount, you get untouchable values every day, with no phony sales and no phony gimmicks ever.
Oh, my Bob!
Bob's Discount Furniture.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, we heard earlier this week how the Together Place, a local nonprofit, is struggling right now with some financial woes. They, of course, are on the front lines helping people battle addiction, helping the homeless population get their lives together and that sort of thing. But they're getting into a situation where the lack of money is going to force them to cut some of their very important programs. We're joined today by Shay Mullaney. Shay, thanks for coming. You're the president of the Together Place Board of Directors.
Yes.
First of all, let's talk a little bit about the issue. It's money is tight for a lot of folks, but this is going to impact what services? I know it's going to affect the day program. You provide free meals and other things to the people that come in there.
We do. We provide 2 free meals a day. We also offer a safe, cool space in the summer, warm space in the winter. We have access to housing, community resources, case management. We help people make connections with peers so that they can work on their mental health, substance use disorder, and then increasingly homelessness.
Yeah, it gives them a place to go, and it's great because then they have all these things right there when they're there, so maybe it will actually contribute to helping with the problem, helping these people get their lives together.
That's the idea, you know. I mean, recovery changes lives, and it makes lives better on a daily basis. I'm a living example of that. Everybody in the organization is a living example of that, and recovery is possible, and that's what we do, is help people recover from these very real problems, whether it's homelessness, again, mental health, substance use. Many people are facing that today. I don't think a lot of people understand as well, the overdose deaths are going down in Maine as a whole, but they are rising here.
Really?
They are. The numbers here are not going the same direction as the rest of the state. So we have a problem, and we have the ability to fix it if we can work together.
We have been hearing a lot about the problem in recent months. You hear it on social media a lot of times, and people are kind of mad with the city of Bangor, they're not doing more. But it is programs like this, they are actually the ones doing the work on the front lines right now. Without those, I think the problem gets even worse.
That's absolutely true. And we are working, we are looking to establish partnerships with the city, partnerships with the state. So there is work happening behind the scenes. People are looking at these problems, and they do want to solve them. We're working on those partnerships. That takes time. And time is not something we have a luxury of right now.
And seeking grants takes time, and you're competing with all the other nonprofits that are seeking a little piece of that pie too.
Absolutely, and that's gotten harder. You know, funding cuts and things like that. You've got a lot more people competing for the same grants. So even small grants now are very, very competitive, and that's tough for every nonprofit.
The good news is that Together Place they'll still be there. They'll keep some of their counseling services and those things going. But at the end of the month, that day program is going to come to an end unless they come up with a lot of money.
Yes. Right now is about a $220,000 shortfall. And the good news is, since the story came out a couple days ago, an anonymous donor has come forward, and they have pledged $50,000 if we are able to raise the remaining $170,000 that we would need, and that should get us to long-term stability. And then hopefully some of these partnerships come through, and we'll be right back on the right path.
That's very promising news. Hopefully there's some other people out there that are feeling big-hearted as well, and they can pitch in with this. If the average person out there, average business or whatever, wants to help, what do they do?
Just go to togetherplace.org. There's a donate button right at the top of the website, and tax-deductible donations can be made right there.
Easy peasy. And you're actually taking some steps to help with this problem right here in our area.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, we fed 50 people yesterday, and opened the doors today. I had 10 people waiting before I came here.
Well, Shay, you do awfully good work. I've been there myself, so I've witnessed it, and you know, I think it's a vital organization. We got to keep this program going, and
well, thank you, Craig.
We'll help spread the word for you.
We really appreciate it.
Thanks for coming in. We're going to send things back to Devin now for a final look at that forecast.
Alrighty, here we go. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Clifton General Store. Start your morning right at Clifton General Store. Fresh coffee and hot breakfast. Family owned and operated. Alrighty, here we go. Checking out the wayfind. It's a little bit active out there at around 3 feet. Not enough to prompt any advisories along the coast, while farther out towards sea, where the cold front is, we have 5 to 6 foot wave heights that are being observed this morning. So overall, we are looking pretty good. Let's check out the water temperatures right now. We are in the upper 50s to lower 60s right nearby, a little bit cooler further off towards the north and east, and we have upper 40s here to upper 50s right there, and upper 60s further out towards sea. Meanwhile, we have high pressure right overhead for us, and that's keeping things very quiet. And further off towards the north, a little bit of energy. That will not be any problems for us. It's going to be a very nice day today. today thanks to high pressure under a mostly sunny sky, and the wind will not be a problem either. It will be a beautiful day to get outside and enjoy the weather. Futurecast moving forward today, we will be under a mostly sunny sky. You may notice a few passing clouds at times, especially by late afternoon into the evening time frame, and then mostly clear overnight. And then once we head towards your Saturday, a beautiful start. And then once we head towards Saturday night, again, you may notice a few passing clouds, but then everything fizzling out as the sun goes down. Once we head towards your Sunday, some more clouds on the way, but overall not looking too bad at all. Lots of sunshine today, so that UV index forecast will be at a 7. That's high, a bird time of around 30 minutes or so hats, sunglasses, sunscreen, and shade will be necessary to avoid a bad sunburn. So your forecast coming up showing middle 80s under that mostly sunny sky, a beautiful one out there with that west breeze at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Middle 50s tonight under a mostly clear sky with the wind overall looking nice and calm. And then Saturday we have middle 80s under a mostly sunny sky with that south breeze getting up to about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Your extended forecast showing Sunday under a partly cloudy sky with temperatures in the mid 80s. And then for your Monday, a partly cloudy sky, middle 80s as well. A lot of dry days on here. And then for your Tuesday under a mostly cloudy sky with highs in the upper 70s.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
Honey, where's the countertop?
I sent it out to the granite shop this morning to be replaced.
Wow.
The quickest turnaround in the business. The Granite Shop in Sedgwick.
It's a big, big deal. Summer is a big deal at Toyota.
It's the final days of Toyota's Big, Big Deal Summer Event, where you could get 4.99 financing on a fuel-sipping all-wheel drive Camry hybrid with a captivating interior and an up to 650-mile total driving range. Summer's a big, big deal at Toyota, the longest-lasting brand with the best resale value. So see your New England Toyota dealer.
It's a big, big deal.
Toyota, let's go places.
You know Matt pretty well. Did he give you any advice?
He said that I should use 26 words or more.
When every word counts.
Trash panda.
Raccoon.
Yeah. You hand me a trash panda.
That was gangster. It pays to choose wisely. Wed, Thurs.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
You just won it.
25 words or less every weekday.
Weekdays at 9 on Fox 22.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
If you live in the Augusta area, you are probably already noticing a busier environment. Maine's capital city will host an Ironman triathlon this weekend, and officials want the community to be aware that that will mean some major traffic changes and increased in foot traffic for visitors as well.
And there will be no access to the following: Augusta Greenway Boat Landing Park, Union Street and Capitol Park, and North Front Street. There are also multiple other street closures going on during the race. You can take a look for yourself on the map. And the race day is on Sunday, and even expect some more closures then. So if you're traveling through the Augusta area, definitely slow down, be aware of your surroundings, and look out for those racers.
Yeah, be careful.
And meanwhile, there was a new addition to the southern poodoo herd at the Cologne Zoo in western Germany. Meet the poodoo named Yene. The poodoo species is one of the world's smallest species of deer. According to the zoo press release, her mother is 3-year-old Yadira, who came to the Cologne Zoo from the Rotterdam Zoo. And the father was born at the Cologne Zoo about 4 years ago.
Awful
They're so cute.
Yeah. Little pocket deer.
Yeah. Their hooves must be so tiny.
I would think so.
Well, that's all the time that we have left for this morning. But as always, we thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for being there. I hope you have a good weekend.
Yeah, you as well.
Hope you all have a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday.
Today on 25 Words or Less, his channel Talk About It on YouTube has over 260,000 subscribers.